Broadcast. I am Hate Mail. With me today, we have Zubaz.
In the flesh. We are ready.
And we also have a special guest. It's Lantern Month. As is tradition, DaBoy has joined us.
Yo, what's up?
Burger is doing some slow gears that he desperately needs, so we thought it was kind of perfect for that. And we are talking about Abin Sur and Ultraviolet John Stewart, both of whom I thought were going to be trash and looking like they're going to be pretty good. So, before we get into the characters, why don't we start with Abin Sur and Zubaz, as is tradition. Give us some of their rich lore.
Sure. He dies, and that is pretty much the best thing about him. But I mean, for real though, his the most important thing, where people even knew his name was his ship crash landed on Earth, and his ring, he decided to give it to Hal. He actually did make a decision between Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner, and he chose Hal. And for a long time in the comics, that was what we knew about him. It was, dies, gives his ring away, and that's it. Now, in post-crisis, they did develop him a little bit more. They decided that they could make a little bit more of him as a character. He does make some appearances in Blackest Night. In Rebirth, we find out that he's actually Sinestro's brother-in-law. So they do have a little bit of a family relation. He's like a mentor. He is. That's kind of what he's known for. But he doesn't have a super rich history. I think it's one that they're still developing. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. But if you are really interested, he does have kind of some secret origin stories out there and stuff that we could point readers to later.
All right, DaBoy. What would you say his how he performs in game?
Well, if you would have asked me that question 2 days ago, I would have told everybody not to buy him, not to farm him, not to gear him, not to use him, not to even unlock him. But when the wonderful team at WB changed his gear set to special tank gear set, now he is just infinitely better. His 3 actually will kill reds without critting. His 1 actually does decent damage. I mean, it doesn't usually kill people, but it does, good damage. It kind of whittles away their HP.
Especially for an ability that's an AoE and a stun that seems to proc a lot.
Yeah. And if you run him under Dark Side, it gets real crazy because then he does it twice and, puts, what is that? 6 evasion downs. So he's actually pretty good against Harley because those don't miss. And then it allows the rest of your team to hit even if you're there enraged, which is kind of cool. The 2, I was actually interested about his 2. That was one of the more intriguing ones to me because it says that he gains crit immunity and debuff immunity, but he actually gives it to the selected target. So whoever he puts taunt on, he also gives them crit immunity and debuff immunity, which is pretty good.
I have a quick note about that 2 skill. And I don't know if you've experienced this. Have you experienced it not working in certain instances?
I have not experienced it not working, but I have experienced the debuff immunity not happening.
Okay, so I got some videos about this from the community and stuff, and I looked into it myself, and it seems like it. Now, I don't know if this seems rare to me, but I think it may be bugged. It's very
shocker!
unknown in this game, but but what it looks like is if there is anybody on the enemy team with true sight, that sometimes the buffs, like the taunt and the invisibility, they don't apply or appear. if anybody on the enemy team has true sight. And like I've looked into it a little bit. So far, that does seem to be the case. We're going to report that bug and see if that is happening. I think that will be a pretty interesting bug for this siege because World's Greatest Detective and Booster Gold kind of rely on true sight. So that might be on the enemy team a lot. But that is something that people should be aware of, that it may be bugged if you're facing somebody with true sight.
Interesting. I'm gonna try that after we're done here, because I've never not had the invisibility hit.
Okay,
that's always hit for me.
I mean, I've seen it where like the taunt doesn't come up.
Oh, that's pointless. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, on that same, I was going to ask you, I only used him like 4 times before this episode. I just geared him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even get to test the reworks until just a little while ago. But I noticed that when you have invisible allies, I've never seen him get the int ups. Is that what you're talking about too, or is
he gets those at the start of his next turn? So he puts the invisibility on everybody, and then his next turn he gets the int ups if they're still invisible.
Well, I was using Clayface, and when I played, I started a match and he didn't get them.
Well, at the start of the match, he probably wouldn't get them.
Well, I mean, once it came to his turn,
0, right? Mm-hmm.
I need to test it again. Yeah. I might have just missed it, but
it could be.
Try him on
when somebody gains, like on Clayface's the second time he can taunt. Like it could be related to that too.
I need to try him. I haven't done it yet because I've just been testing siege teams. We should test him on a Nightwing team. Nightwing
that was the other one I did. I didn't see him get it either.
Interesting.
But
bugged.
I have a feeling it's bugged. I could be wrong. Like I said, I only got to test him like 2 times.
I'm gonna test that after we're done, and I'll let you guys know. I'll report back.
I can't believe that it would be bugged.
Can't believe it. Impossible. Also, hey, did you gear him all the way to L5?
No, I only took him to L3.
Okay. Good. Don't ever take his 4th legendary point.
Yeah,
ever.
That was my next question to you on that. I could see where it could kind of be useful sometimes on defense. Like if you want an annoying defensive team, you can't get to the person you want. But I could see that being a liability on offense because sometimes it's going to go on somebody you really don't want it to go to.
So, and I think I messaged Zubaz yesterday. So I sent a video of his true heal going on to UV Jon Stewart, who was low, and it like took him from. So his true heal took it all the way up, but I would guess that like if you had an ally that was taunting that died, and then it put it randomly on a low health character, and then that character somehow lasted until the beginning of their next turn, and then they got an additional 65% true heal, sure, I guess it would work, but if they're low HP and they get a taunt, they're probably not making it to their turn.
Well, and that true heal is not doing much. Is that still bugged, or did they fix that?
So I think they fixed that. The video I sent, or the video that I kind of put together and sent yesterday, UV Jon Stewart goes from like less than 1 bar of HP almost to full HP.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like a big old heal.
Okay, well that's good to hear.
Yeah. I don't know, but that probably maybe has something to do with him now being a special tank. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't. I think that so we reported that as a bug yesterday too, and I think that they made just like a bunch of little patches and stuff throughout the day, so it could have been fixed at that time.
Well, what was funny was I hadn't seen it working, and then I loaded into the match where it worked, and as I loaded into the match, I got a downloading content, and then it worked in that match. So that was kind of like, I mean, it probably wasn't that, but in my mind, it was.
That's what I mean. Like I think it might have been just patches throughout the day, but I mean, I guess we don't know, but as long as it's working, then that's good.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I thought his stun was 30%, but it's actually, it's actually 75. So I was like, wow, this thing it works so often. And
he stuns a lot.
Yeah, I mean 75% even
it
for me
is. Yeah, just to clarify for people listening too, it's an independent on each enemy, right?
It's the primary target.
Yeah, we're talking about Abin.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it originally was 30% when they first proposed
it.
I think it was 30 when they first proposed it, and it got changed. But
that's a good change.
I mean, it's targeted, so you can pick who's going to get stunned around taunters too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. So it's a very good ability.
That's why I said when you run him under dark side, things start to get a little bonkers pretty quick because he just starts stunning everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a character
when he gets called. When he gets called assist, though, like obviously you don't get to select who the primary target is. Have you noticed anything? Like, is it random? Does it go to taunters?
It goes
usually?
to taunters.
It
goes to taunters.
Okay.
Yeah. But if there's no taunter, it's random.
Yeah, then it's completely random.
But I will say, I think we're gonna have to get a character that has like a passive ability, maybe a leader ability that your team can't be stunned because.
Doesn't Yara Floor, isn't she stun immune?
There's characters that
she
are
is stun immune. Your best bet is, I mean, it's not great, but your best bet is actually Silver Banshee. Once she gets stunned for the first time, or anybody gets stunned, I think the entire team gets stun immunity.
Yeah, but she usually just dies on that.
So yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking more for Spectre than him, but we're getting so many stuns, and when we talk about Ultraviolet as well, I almost feel like coming from a person who used to build teams entirely around stuns, that's I think a point we're getting to the game. We got to slow Spectre down because I was having some fun playing with him. I had like 3 teams in a row with no Spectre, and I was like, wow, Abin Sur is so good. And then I got a bunch of Spectre teams, and he just. I was trying to use the reworks as well, and he just he's so stupid.
Spectre
you can't play with fun teams. So, and he's on every team, especially when he's under Aquaman and Terra at the same time, which seems to be quite often.
All the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just such a pain. But anyway, we won't hash on Spectre too long.
Let's talk one of the coolest things... Well, real quick, about Abin Sur. After his gear set, I took him for like a little test swing, and he almost one-shot a Rebirth 3 Azrael turn 1, no crit, without any intups. So that was... Now, mine was RB1 at that time, so, I mean, it's a little higher than normal, but it was pretty nuts. If it crits, it kills reds. Like, hands down, if it crits, it kills reds without any intups. If he has intups and it crits, he can kill greens. Like, it's and then he gets those 3 permanent intups from killing people. Like, it's really good now.
He has good damage. Let's talk legendary order.
That move has really high scaling. Yeah.
Good. I love it.
I'm leaning,
legendary order.
I think his 2 has to be first. Do you disagree or?
I actually think I would say his 5 first, personally, because he gives the invisibility with his 2 without the legendary point, and that's his way of self-ramping without killing people. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. I didn't even think about that.
I went 5-2, so I mean it's not like I put 2 all the way at the end, right? I did 5-2, but okay. I could see 2-5, sure.
I would say 2-5 just because if you're only L1, you'd rather have the
call assist and yeah, for sure.
And then so 2-5.
And then
where would you go?
And then I put 3 next. Yeah. And then 1 because One, I mean, one's really only good if you're facing evasion teams, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the legendary is really only good if you're facing evasion, which is a lot of them out there now with Harley and
Harley never
Dove
leaves.
and
She never leaves.
Jesse and
I don't-
Harley never leaves.
I never see anybody but Harley, but
Yeah, Harley is always there. They can make specific counters for Harley over and over and over and over and over again, and she'll still see play. It's crazy. But yeah, so I would go 3 and then 1, and then leave the legendary screen and never look back.
yeah.
Because 4 is awful. And that little 1 notification is going to drive me insane. It already has. I literally almost took it last night because I couldn't stand looking at it anymore. It was bad, and it's only been 2 days.
All right, let's move on. So he's pretty good, works well.
I would say he's probably like middle A tier now, to be honest. Like that's how good I think that he probably is.
He does hold up well against. I mean, even Spectre doesn't like. Mine's only L3, and he doesn't die to a high rebirth AOE like most greens. So
Yeah, no, he's real good. And I think his HP is like 4th highest in the game now.
yeah, it's
I think
42,000 something.
Yeah, it's pretty up there. I'm trying to look at it. Mine's a little different. Mine's almost 50, but mine's Rebirth 4 now, so.
Let's move on to Ultraviolet John Stewart, who's got the most amazing backstory that you can tell us about Zubaz.
His backstory probably matches. His backstory probably matches his legendary skin. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to read the entirety of like this character, it's from the 4th volume of Justice League, which was the like kind of the recent one. I think that's like 2016 or so.
18
issues 2 through 6, and that's it. That is the entirety of like all his appearances. I think it's 5 appearances. Yeah, I mean, it was at the time the Justice League and stuff. They're dealing with the stuff at the Source Wall, and then they introduced Umbrax. If you're not familiar with Umbrax, I would liken Umbrax kind of like Galactus a little bit over in the Marvel universe. So Umbrax is kind of like a sentient star that just absorbs planets and negative energy and that sort of thing. And so Sinestro kind of sees John Stewart because he's angry as kind of ripe for the picking. The ultraviolet core it's the invisible emotional spectrum. So you've got all the colors, red, green, orange, yellow, all that kind of stuff. Ultraviolet is supposed to be invisible. And it's just not around for a very long time. We don't have a lot to go on about it. Their rings are tattooed on their hands instead of like actual rings because it's invisible. But that's all you kind of need to know, is that it's just like negative energy. It's supposed to just build on the idea that people have negative thoughts and feelings, as opposed to like the typical Green Lantern stuff, which is about like hope and willpower and that sort of thing.
Which is odd that the invisible ability went to Abin Sur and not to John Stewart.
Yeah.
When we got noticed that he was gonna be in the game, I said they're gonna just give him like a ton of invisibility skills, even though like the character doesn't go invisible or anything. that seems to be like the kind of on the nose kit design that they often do. Shout out Amazo, but they went a different way. So good for them this time.
So DaBoy, what are your thoughts in game on him?
Well, my first experience with him was at Legendary 1. I took him into a fight on stream, and if for death immunity, he would have one-shot a Rebirth 5 Superman, turn 1, no buffs, just poofed him. If Superman didn't have death immunity with his AoE, and then not only did he like, if Superman didn't have death immunity, he would have died, which is insane. But not only did he do that, he stunned all of them. So like Supes didn't taunt. I don't remember who else was on the team, but it was just like everybody was stunned and Superman was like basically dead. It was crazy. That image is insane. If you want to put him on those dastardly or whatever reset teams with Donna Troy and World's Greatest Detective, he's going to be able to do that every turn. Just ding, 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 ding. AoE stun everybody forever. They'll never move. It's crazy. And then if you have Lex on there, then he has intups and it's going to do even more damage. He's really good just for that move alone.
So I watched your stream, saw that initial thing. I had no intention of even gearing him. I was going to make this a double slow gear month. I wasn't going to compete in Siege, which I'm very low in gems, so I'm still debating on the competing in Siege thing. I have a few hours to decide. But
Tapjoy, please.
Yeah, please, Tapjoy, please. But I was watching your stream, and it was like seeing that ex-girlfriend of yours going down the street who has been hitting the gym and really done up, and you're like, wow.
Oh, thanks, hate me. No.
And because those stuns, those were just some sexy stuns.
Oh yeah, they just. I mean, it's 75% chance to stun everybody on the team. Like that's 2.5 times better than Cersei's, and Cersei's was like, oh my god, she can stun everybody.
In fairness, she removes the debuff immunity, which is prevalent. But now I'm just thinking, hey, I can run him. I can run him with Talon. Just I was really impressed, and his damage was. I mean, his kit when you look at it on paper looks so stupid, but sometimes that doesn't.
It looks
translate.
kind of weird, but I mean, sometimes you can negate that by playing on offense. I mean, who knows what he looks like on defense, right? There's not enough of them out there to like actually test that.
I think he's gonna be scary because that 75% is gonna be 110%. So
if he uses it, right?
Yeah.
Like if the AI uses the 3, then he's gonna be wild. If it doesn't, then we'll see.
I'll let you know. I'm sure I'll run into your team sooner than later.
Well, in Siege, you'll run into it because you saw some of those videos I sent you. That's a plus 20 bomb, and it's beating everything. But one thing I will say, his 5th, if I take rings back, I might take the rings back on his 5th because sometimes he taunts at like weird times, and you're like, no, I want parallax taunting only so he can go get hit, but he just like passively has a 75% chance to gain taunt like at the start of his turn. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's good if you're running him with Abin Sur and he gets low HP and then he gains taunt at the end of his turn. He gains 65% true heal. Like sometimes it's good, but sometimes you're like, no, I don't want you to taunt, and then he taunts and you're like, crap. But I think it starts at 50%, so 50 to 75% is probably not that big of a jump for that kind of a move.
Yeah, so let's talk Legendary Order. I'm a little torn on some of these.
I think that honestly, he's one of those cool toons where, one, he's bugged right now, by the way. So in Siege, when you face him, be careful, because he applies Doom even without taking that legendary point. Just FYI. Okay.
Gotcha. That Doom is that Doom seems pretty useful on him actually, but
yeah. So it's a 30. If any enemy attacks John while he's taunting, he has a 30% chance to apply Doom on the attacker. That's bugged because I don't have that, and I can't tell you how many times I've killed someone with Doom with him in the game. Like I don't know why, but it's bugged. So for now, you can leave that one for last because it works without it, right? I kind of did the debate one or two first. I ended up going one first because I think, especially in this siege where Alan Scott is going to be prevalent and he's going to be handing out shields like candy, the ability to ignore shields is going to be clutch for Jon Stewart, I think. Again, most people won't have him until week 3 of Siege anyways, but for those that do, or when you're facing him, know that he does hit under shield if you have the first legendary point. 2, the reason I didn't take 2 first is because it's only a 60% chance to gain 1 permanent intelligence up.
Gotcha.
So 60% chance on offense is not always 60%, right? Like right. we all can attest to that. But I would definitely take that one second. And honestly, I think that's his sweet spot. Like that's where the rest of his legendary points are kind of like luxuries, if that makes sense.
That's good. I mean, he didn't seem like a character you would need to take real high. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sounds pretty good for him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually is a valid order, I would think, because I would say a permanent stamina up is worth more than 1 affinity power up, right?
Yeah, and affinity power up's probably worth more than a 30% chance to apply Doom.
Especially if that Doom applies without applying the legendary point.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, is he the first toon that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Just saying. There's one other one I have on my list, but they're rare, I think.
Why you gotta burst my bubble like that?
Actually, I'm looking. I remember writing in the quotations, yes, this is real.
That's funny.
But I think we changed it later when they got a rework, so it might
perfect.
He might.
So he's the first one, the only one.
maybe not the first, but the only.
Well, there's no record of the other one, so he's the first. No, I'm just kidding. The old Pixar, it didn't happen, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed. He's a character I'm excited to take up, and I did not want to be excited for him. So,
I have been tempted to do more on him. And I just had to keep telling myself, if there's no tap joy, I just need to save and wait for actual sale to come, and then do that, because without tap joy, it's like bonkers. But
are you taking him to RB5 this month, or you might have to wait till the next go around?
We will see. I haven't decided yet. A glass of whiskey here or there may influence.
Maybe you shouldn't have actually spent gems on gear. Then you might have a few.
Hey,
more
you know
gems
what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Like an idiot.
WB just gave me the gear. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, this month. I mean, it's not a month that people were excited about, I don't think. I think it was like UV John, like, why isn't this a skin, and who is asking for Abin Sur? But now that the kits are out and people are seeing the gameplay, I think it's going to be more popular than people thought.
Mm-hmm. And I think that WB is going to recoup some losses from any of the bad months from all of the people spending 1k gems to change Jon Stewart's legendary skin back to his basic, because that thing is god awful. That thing is worse than the legendary on Abin Sur. Like, it is that bad.
Yeah, I think I'm not surprised, because usually a lesser known character that wouldn't be somebody people would rush out to buy tends to be an OP superpower. But I don't think he's quite that point. But they're both very good. Extremely good.
I think they're both like middle of the pack A tier.
Yeah, and that's good for new toons, because you don't get that too often.
Yeah. Usually they're not.
Actually, last month was pretty good too. So the 2 months in a row, I got to give them props. They came out with good ones.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Even Jesse done it before. Anyways,
I don't like Jesse.
yeah, very, very good, very good. Not S tier, but I mean, S tier is diluted. That Spectre in there. If you're worse than Spectre, then should you really be an S? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's his own tier. We'll just call it Spectre tier. So.
That's the Spectre tier. That's the Vengeance tier.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Until next time. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming, guys. And
of course.
And thanks for listening.
Hey, I'm Josh Urars. Thank you for listening to the WROL Broadcast. If you like the show, consider becoming a Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/WROL Broadcast and get early reviews on new characters. And for even more Legends action, check out my daily stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/JoshUrars and watch my L5 Etrigan wreck DaBoy's Rebirth 5 Arcus.